Like, got.
I feel more like studio, like.
Right. I need to go.
Go be.
I need to go be as a sponsor. I need to go be as a sponsor.
Product placement.
We don't throw up no product.
Right.
None.
Yeah.
Well.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, what's up? Welcome to What's the Remedy podcast. It's your boy, Dr. J.
Mr. Wash.
Ashley Ray.
And this is your weekly conversation over mental health, social issues, and other contributing factors plaguing society. We are the prescribed antiseptic to toxic masculinity. All right, so I got the tagline down this time, so we're good. We have some special guests today. We have, I'll let y'all introduce yourselves, but I just want to give a quick introduction. I'll do the introduction this time. That way nobody else has to worry about it. All right, so we have, I call you G-Rose. But we have G-Rose, we have Jamar from Brunchish Texas.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? Thank y'all for having us.
Oh, yeah, man.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great event that we've supported. I've supported pretty much since the first one, and then as soon as I got everybody else involved, I think Ashley's been with me to at least a few.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, and then Alan's been, Wash has been to a couple of them with us too. So it's really been a very good event. So we're glad to have you guys on.
Well, definitely kudos to y'all because making this happen for us, y'all continuing to do it, looking at y'all's posts, listening to y'all's posts, it's definitely inspiring for other people to get out there and do it. So kudos to y'all for making it happen.
For sure.
Yeah, and there are not many super successful Houston-based podcasts, especially that are addressing what you guys are addressing. So we're excited to be here.
Yeah. And we try to get everything covered, and we want to make sure that we get as many people involved as we can because we know how important it is. Just and we're gonna get into all that in a second. But I want to give y'all a chance to kind of give some background on your event. How it came about, how y'all decided on it.
And just on yourselves. Period.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and you as a person.
Okay.
I just seen y'all at the brunches when I missed the hi. Yeah.
Well, so Brunchish started a year ago. I was doing another event, Trash and Go, and then I called Greg one day. I was venting about an event that we had, not about the partners, but about the venue. And Greg was like, well, I'm gonna call you back. I'm getting ready to get on this Brunchish call. And I was like, Brunchish, what's that? And then he explained it to me, and I was like, do y'all need an MC? And he was like, actually, yeah. And so he brought me to the table, and we've been working ever since.
That's really good.
Yeah, so Brunches came about because going around in Houston, everyone likes to Sunday Fun Day.
Yes.
So Sunday Fun Day is a big part of the culture here in Houston, probably in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's getting pretty big, or it has been up north as well. So I just figured that I wanted to, being in Houston, being in a diverse city, I wanted to offer patrons of Houston a variety of brunch events. So we came up with Brunchish, and it's not quite brunch,
No.
but it is quite brunch.
It is quite brunch.
So it's kind of in the middle. It kind of is and it kind of ain't. So Brunchish, it's just like, it's some brunch shit. Oh.
It's okay. You can say whatever you want.
So it's kind of like
No,
So it's kind of like some brunch shit, And so we want to make sure that people have a good time. They don't have to worry about being someone that they're not. Come to our event, be yourself, enjoy yourself, talk to somebody, get somebody a hug, dance with somebody, buy somebody a drink, buy somebody a waffle or two.
Or some, we have really good chicken and waffles, by the way.
Yeah.
But going off what Greg said, I always like to describe when people are like, what is Brunchish? It kind of reminds me of like that event that you go to right before the week of homecoming, and all of your friends are there. And another thing that we pride ourselves on in Brunchish, and it's no deference to anyone who's doing it, but we are not very sectiony. So we're not like, we're not gonna have the bottle girls out there with this one. We're not doing that.
I actually that's why I go.
You like that?
Yeah. No, I don't like the bottle girls.
Like yeah.
But I like y'all bottle girls when y'all bringing me the bottle.
Yeah, for sure.
And
no, shout out to all the bottle girls.
Yeah, shout out to the bottle girls doing this.
But when I'm on the outside looking in, I'm sorry.
But we're really not very sectiony. It's really, we try to target establishments. When we started, our goal was to find places that there's a mutual benefit there. We want to highlight them, they want to highlight us. We want their businesses to grow. And we've been able to help quite a few places in Houston grow their business and grow their Sunday demographic, and it's been mutually beneficial. And so we really pride ourselves on like really not just the first class experience, but like a family experience. So it's like you just hanging out, throwing that ass, eating a waffle with your friends and your family.
For sure.
That's
Yeah.
what it is.
And I was gonna say, like you said, y'all expose people to a lot of stuff because like I didn't even know what Lily and Bloom was before Brunch.
Yeah.
You're right, and that's
That was big. And then in Revolver, like I went to
Yeah.
Revolver the first time, and I like with Lincoln, I had been to Lincoln back when it was Bricks.
Right.
I didn't even know they had
right.
changed the name until Brunchish was there. So then when Brunchish came, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I didn't even know this place was still open.
And so that's one of the things we wanted to do with brunches. We wanted to bring people together in an unfamiliar setting so that they can get familiar with the people that they're with. Because most times when you go to the place that we have brunches at, after you come to brunches, you're probably going to want to go back because you enjoyed the location that you was at.
Right.
And so I think that's the plus for the locations that we choose, because once we leave, you're still going to visit that place again. So we want that for their business because we want to bring people to places that they've never been before. What's the point of going to the same place over and over again when Houston is as big or as small as they claim to be?
And you know, another thing is when we're working with those black businesses, because the majority of the people that we have worked with, from our chefs to even our servers and even our marketing and everyone, we just are really trying to pour back. One, go with the cooperative economics of the black community, and then pour that dollar back into our black community. Not that we don't work with communities that are not black, but when we do work with those black business owners and franchise men and women, we want to make sure that we're pouring that black dollar back into our community because nobody supports us like us.
Yeah.
that's true.
And you know what? And like this whole podcast is kind of built on mental health and all that kind of stuff. Especially, and the reason that we built the podcast is because we want to make sure that our people, you know, black people, get exposure to mental health. So I'm going to tie in what y'all are talking about. So we're going to continue to talk about brunches, but I want to kind of tie it into a topic of mental health.
Cool.
All right. So like one of the big things, and we call this the check yourself segment. But one of the big things that we talk about, as far as just your event itself, is like you said, tying everything back into us together, being able to network with our people. What are some of the benefits that y'all have seen just seeing people come together? Have y'all seen any like businesses come from like you know, the spark from Brunchish, or you know, things branch off or anything like
Yeah,
that?
like what kind of opportunities?
What kind of
like,
opportunities?
Just from the start of just doing brunches itself, like what has spun off of that?
So one thing I can say is, for instance, when we do brunches, we try to give our chefs an opportunity to come and display and showcase the food that they prepare. So what I can say is some of our chefs have gotten business from some of the patrons that's been there. So you know how you go somewhere and you have a product and you offering that product to people. And people will take your card and be like, oh, that's good, let me get a card. And then they'll take that card, but they'll never use it.
Yeah.
Well, our chefs have given their card and their business have been able to be used. I think another thing is with our event, it really is a networking event because when you're sitting over there in a section or at a chair by yourself and it's a group of people over here dancing and having a good time, they are going to grab you, or Jamar is going to grab you, or I'm going to grab you and bring you to us. So now, what do you do? Why are you? Not on the negative aspect, but to include you, because you know it's a lot of us that do not know how to network,
Right.
No.
and that's an issue. That's an issue, especially if we are the age that we are at, and some of us don't know how to go back and forth and have a conversation with a person. Because we can get on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook,
It's easy.
real easy, but to have a
Face-to-face?
conversation,
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing for us, and that's why I said I want to tie it back into the whole mental health aspect, because I think we don't have that social concept all the time.
Absolutely.
Like we don't have the ability to really, like you said, talk to people outside of like text messages and Facebook comments, and Facebook comment sections get out of hand.
And you know what? To speak to what you're saying, what I like about our event is I know that when you go certain places, you'll see a lot of people, and this is what we look for when we scout out our next venues. We look for what we don't want to see. So you see a lot of people on the phone, like Instagramming and filtering and just recording, singing the lyrics to the song. That's not what you see at brunches. You really, everybody has their phones down. People are having a really good time, and it's interaction in real time.
Yeah.
And that's healthy. because again, kind of like what Greg was saying, a lot of the times we have a lot of loud noise with the texting and the tweeting but we don't have a lot of loud noise verbally.
Right.
And so I think the energy that you see online is the same energy that you see at a Brunchish. And again, it's because of the atmosphere, and it's because that we protect our brand and our business so much that we really, really try to make it not that much like that.
Yeah, not so much online. You have something, Ashley?
I met one online.
Oh, you the one that's online. Oh, okay. Yeah, but that's what I was saying is that it's a big difference being at Brunchish event because like you said, you're able to network, you're able to talk, you're able to have conversation. And I'll even say that I've talked to people. I mean, of course, there'll be a lot of people that I know,
right?
But then there's a few people that I'll mix in and I know, or like they'll be friends of friends,
right?
Yeah,
and then you get to network with some of them too.
But it's kind of that feeling like being back on the hill, like,
Yeah.
like being back at PV
For sure,
Yeah.
for sure.
and stuff like that. Like I said, like it's kind of like what Boys and what Ty said. Ty was like always like at PV, whatever, socialize, because everybody's close knit with each other.
You don't have nowhere else to go.
Yeah, you know where to go. But you know what I'm saying, you get out here in the world, whatever, you don't know how really to socialize with people face to face and stuff like that. So going to a Brunchish event, you feel like you back, like I say, on the yard. Like I say, in that close proximity where you have to interact with everybody.
6 degrees of separation.
and you know what else? A lot of something I think about my own job. So now that Brunchish is getting more, we're getting more exposure and we're out there more and more people and our followers and everything. I remember it was like the 3rd or 4th one we hosted. Right after that, I got a new job and I was in the boardroom and a girl came up to me and was like, "You're that guy." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And in my mind, I was like, "Did I do something inappropriate?" That's always my question. What did I do inappropriate? And we put it on camera.
Yeah.
And she was like, "You were at that brunch the other day." And I was like, "Oh, shoot." And I was like, "What part of the brunch did you catch?" She was like, "The part where you was asking everybody to throw their ass." And I was like, "Listen, please don't mention that while we're at work." But I've connected with a couple of people at work, and because of that, and I do think that what we have is a part of what's missing in the social scene. So I think we are fulfilling that need, and it is kind of still goes back around to the mental thing because people are connecting.
Right. I was gonna say that, and I feel like that's our biggest deficit right now is that, and I think that's what causes so many arguments.
Yes.
Is that people aren't used to being around each other.
Right.
And so like when we actually have a chance to be around each other and live in the real world, you see a difference. When you're online, it's like you argue with people and you don't ever see them, so like you have all kinds of arguments and stuff. And then when you're face to face, you forget that when you get into the real world, it's not really like that.
No.
And you read it a certain type of way too.
Right.
When you read those comments, if it's already negative, you read that comment in a negative voice versus someone saying, "Oh, I don't really like this, but I like that," versus you reading it's like, "Oh, I don't like that at all." And so it's literally they told you that they didn't like it, but it wasn't what you had on or what you didn't have on, but it's the way you put it some way. So you literally took it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Is there a way to take like "I'm gonna fuck you up" in a wrong way?
No,
Like, can you?
that meant I'm gonna fuck you up.
But is it like "I'm gonna fuck
I'm
you
gonna
up"?
fuck you up. I'm gonna fuck you up.
Like you say, people can't read sarcasm, especially now.
What?
I was gonna say, you could say I'm gonna fuck you up, and it could be like a friendly. I'm
No.
gonna fuck you. I'm gonna fuck you up.
LOL.
I'm gonna fuck you up. And
I'm
you
gonna fuck you up for
joke.
doing that too.
Yeah, like it's a joke.
Right.
But it don't come across as a joke when you read it and say, like, "Oh, for real?"
He ain't put no exclamation points.
Yeah.
Right.
You didn't put an LOL.
Right.
Nothing.
No, oh, that means he's serious.
Yeah. So it's kind of hard. You lose a lot of tone. You lose
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
tone
yeah.
when you online.
So how do you
and
handle
texting.
that when people say something online and you took it? I took it. Well,
How you used to take
it's
stuff?
negative.
You gotta have a Barbara. This is Shirley moment.
Yeah.
That's
I
what you
did.
gotta have.
I said I understand.
You said you understand,
But really, did I understand? No. I just wanted to close the
I
conversation.
think one of the things you have to be able to do, and this is kind of on topic still, but one of the things you have to be able to do in that situation is ask for clarity. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, we all deal with people, and they have a business. We deal with people in jobs, do podcasts, and everything, where people make negative comments, and sometimes they're like trying to give you constructive criticism,
No,
but it don't come off that way.
Keep your criticism to your day.
No, I disagree.
Yeah,
But you also,
criticism.
I was talking to my family about this not too long ago about the mentality of folks, right?
Yeah.
The mentality of everyone, the experiences that you go through, the experiences that Jamar go through, while you were young, while you were at Prairie View, or while he was at Prairie View. Did you go to PV?
No, she just always be there.
Oh,
Okay.
It's okay.
So the mentality or the experiences that you had there, you handle things different. So if I'm at the house raising my 3 brothers and sisters, and Jamar is at the house being raised by his mom and his dad, he's not going to look at certain situations the same as I am.
I get it.
You know, and so that's the mentality, because just because I look at this and I'm more mature doesn't mean that Jamar isn't mature.
Right.
It just means that he hasn't experienced some things to get his mentality to the point where I think that it should be.
But watch how you talk to me.
A lot of things, I
I'm
agree.
not your child.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, like, a lot of that does have to do with tone.
Yeah.
How it comes off.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they may not mean for it to come off that way. That's why it's important to ask for clarity sometimes.
Right.
Because they may be saying, "Hey, man, like, this was fucked up about your event," and they're like, "You like that? Like, for real?"
And that's how he talk. And that's how he talks.
Yeah,
He was
that's
like,
how he talk.
man, this was fucked up about it. And me and Jamar is like, please tell me all the fucked up stuff.
Yeah,
about
we
it.
want to know the fucked up shit.
Because even if you're mad, even if you're mad at it, or you're just saying this what it could have been better. Either or, we need to know that, because how do we get better if we don't know what was going bad about it?
Remember I told about the fucked up shit at Grooves? I ain't never hear back from them niggas.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because
we always like, oh.
Oh.
I forgot about that.
it's because
Did you have a, I'm gonna call the manager moment. You had one of them?
Or did
I
you
was
call
teaching
the manager?
No, I got kicked out.
You
But
got
it was
kicked
good.
out.
You went out of cruise.
were you fighting?
No.
Are you in the
Were you
room?
not
Just
in
play your
the
story.
radio?
I don't want to talk about it no more. I
Your story.
don't want to talk about it no more.
Grooves, if you're watching this, we're not with her.
Yeah,
They're
no.
not with me, but I mean,
But I mean, and it like I said, it
he told
depends
me
on
to
how
get
you
back
come
in line.
across.
I just got in there, sir. Like, I'm not going back in the line.
Oh, you already inside.
Yeah, I was already
It's
inside.
rules. You have to follow the rules.
I already got in.
And does it say no re-entry?
He was kicking us back out to get in line to come back in.
Why?
I know why. Because they was unorganized.
Let's explain the situation before she just go off about it. Because she was there for, like, you know how they had like the comedy show and
Yeah.
then they kick people out and then come back in.
I can't help how that folks was late. I came on time.
Yeah, she was there early.
First of all, it was tripping. I had J's on, but some other people had J's on, so I was like, everything cool. He was like,
Cause it was
hey.
a trap karaoke.
Yeah, it was trap. It
Solid
was-
trap party.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a comedy show.
My
and then
thing
the
is
silent
trap.
party.
You know, you gotta run for the dough, whatever. So I was
So
J's.
that trip that you had J's on?
Yeah,
Really?
they did. They wanted the girls who had heels on. I wasn't wearing.
You know
that
who
shit.
wouldn't turn you away though?
Who?
Brunchish TX.
Right. That's why I show up how I want to.
We wouldn't do you that.
Blonde hair, red hair, don't care.
We accept it all.
Yeah.
Right. Come as you are.
Come as you are. The doors of the brunch are open. Is there one? Because we gotta eat.
Right.
Hey, speaking of, I want to ask y'all. So another aspect of brunches is y'all's food.
Mm-hmm.
So how do y'all feel about? Because I know that you said that you came about this idea because of like brunch mentality. You know what I'm saying? So how do you feel about? I guess do you feel like the communion of people is better when you have good food?
Yes. And so we are very, very, very big on our food. Like,
Ours are
Okay.
big on
Man.
he's so big on the food.
Y'all had some brisket tacos the first time I
Uh-huh,
came.
uh-huh.
Where he
He's here. Oh,
Yeah.
that's Chef Michael. Shout out to Chef Kevin Michael and his team.
Yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
we are very big on the food because we feel like food does really bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Food brings
And alcohol.
families together.
alcohol.
Food brings enemies together.
Alcohol does too.
Yeah.
So I think that if the food is good, the people will rejoice and be like, "You like your food? Yeah, I like my food." So now they like bumping
Yeah,
chicken
yeah,
wings together, like,
He actually right. I love talking to a couple like, what y'all eating?
Yeah. And so it makes you talk to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you wanna
And
know
that's a
what-
whole.
I messed
That,
up and ate before I came. I was like,
that's a whole nother aspect of brunches, right?
Yeah.
So that food you're asking her is the food is good
Right.
just for her opinion. Now she sparks that conversation, like you said.
Right, and I got
Yeah,
her phone
boy.
number. She a lawyer. In case I still got them damn warrants,
You see
I
what I'm
can
saying?
call her.
You
Look
see
at
what I'm saying?
God.
But if it wasn't for the brisket taco, you wouldn't even have a lawyer.
Right.
And seriously, like, we are so big on it. We don't have anything in our brunch that we wouldn't eat.
Yes.
And so we taste it, like we have tastings with our chefs. We go over the menu, and we also at our brunches, we also try to make sure that our menu items, because we have people who just got paid on
Yeah.
Friday and still
Yeah.
trying to make it to the next Friday.
Right.
Sometimes that's me. So we try to make sure that our menu fits everyone. Someone asked me last week. Someone had the caucasity to ask me.
What do you say?
Right there.
Someone had the
Right there.
caucasity to ask me, what is your demographic? And I think they were looking for a race or a culture, and I said the demographic that we target ourselves to are people who want to pay, have a good time, and eat some brunch and some drinks. That's the demographic we're looking for.
Yeah.
You can be red, orange, green, blue, black. We don't care, but the green is all the same.
And
The brunch is good.
And that's big for like the black community. Period. We're accepting
Absolutely.
of everybody.
Absolutely.
Like, always.
Right.
It's sometimes it's heartening, or it hurts a little bit when we absolutely want people to come party with us, and there's some people out there that definitely will party with us, but then they feel intimidated to come party with us because of it's majority of us.
Right.
But that doesn't, especially if we're at an establishment when the majority of the time that an establishment is open, it's not majority us.
That's
Yes.
what I said.
So-
I ain't been in Hill Lincoln when it was us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're opening and they're accepting because they know that we are the culture. The culture,
Yeah.
without culture, we are not really human. Like
Yeah.
the culture moves us. The culture moves the world. Doesn't matter if it is our culture. It's culture. Period. The culture, right? It moves the world. So without that, we.
And it also is too, sometimes, like Greg was saying, disheartening when you have venues who are like, oh, we want to make this much money, or we love to have you guys, but like y'all gotta play like what y'all playing?
What kind of music?
Right. Or
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
but on the flip side, like Greg is saying, especially like you were saying with like certain bars, we've kind of opened the doors metaphorically as well as literally to having our people inside of places that normally we're not invited into.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also changing the narrative, because what happens is usually when you see a bunch of us, people think like, oh, it's gonna be some nigga shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Smoking.
And then when y'all, and
Nope.
every single
Every
time we
single
have
time.
an event, we always do a wrap up with our partners, and they always say, that was a wonderful event, and we didn't even need any security.
What
Was
the
there
hell?
no.
That's the
What
message.
you need
That's the
security
message
for?
that they tell us, that y'all wasn't fighting in there.
Yeah.
But they fight all the time.
But
They.
it's expected from
Yeah,
us. So
yeah.
people often have the caucasity to say that to us. But the great thing is we continue to deliver,
Yeah.
and we continue to expose, and that's what Brunchish is about.
And I think that's one of the big things I noticed about it, just the brunch environment in general, but especially at brunches, is that it brings out it lets you see all aspects of black people.
Yeah.
Because we have a lot of professionals, like Adam said, she met a lawyer.
Yeah.
We have doctors, dentists out there, engineers, whatever. Like it's so many different types of black people coming together for an event.
Yeah.
And that's why like people, I think like we go to other people's establishments, they're surprised to see, y'all are multidimensional.
Right.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just what I see on TV.
And you're not act just because you're at a bar, you're not acting the way how you would view us to act.
What they think.
What they're thinking that we should act, because we bring out a different. Our crowd is a different type of crowd too.
Mm.
It's not your typical buy bottles and
Right.
flash all my money, which is some people do that, and it's quite all right. Some people, but you have other people in the world that don't have to do that and still have just as much fun.
Right.
So
and black people like different environments.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we don't all want to be at the same.
Yeah.
Like that's
No.
the thing I noticed about like black events, even just in Houston.
Mm.
Just going to different places, like the venue changes,
Yeah.
but you see the same people.
Same
We're doing the
people.
same
Same
thing
promoter.
for like the past 12 years or
Yeah.
whatever that we've been doing it.
And
know
you
what
go
I'm saying?
back and you're like, they're doing the same
They
thing.
doing
Oh,
the same
now
thing.
they got a new sign. Oh, okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
It's a new name, but
New
it's the
name,
same
yeah,
thing.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate though. It's unfortunate for some of the promoters and businesses to have to go around. Like, there's no reason why there is not a space for us to all come together and do what we want to do. Everyone else has it,
Yeah.
except for us. They're shutting down different types of grocery stores in certain areas, and now they're building that grocery store up to fit the demographic of that community. So it's no longer a Kroger, it's a Fiesta.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have it's a place like the Asians have a grocery store, but within that grocery store they have almost like different shops around it.
Yeah.
And that first wasn't for them, but
Yeah.
they bought that and they invested in that. And so we find ourselves invested in other people's dreams
Mm-hmm.
A lot.
far more. And then mentally, that has to be draining. I mean, it boggles me every time when I think about like, bro, y'all look like y'all getting money, but where is the majority of all the money going?
Yeah, we spending money.
Yeah, for sure.
Money
for sure.
Where are we spending? That's the question.
And that's why at Brunchish Texas we try to make sure like if we can spend that money, we can spend it and get it back into the black corporate dollar. Yeah.
Yes, and I think that's a big thing. I just lost my train of thought, but I want to say that like I think the food aspect is big. I think the social aspect is big, and I really like we've already touched on the networking is a major thing. And I was gonna say like even when you were talking about like I think. What is the Asian store called? I think it's called like 99 Ranch. One of those.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Because they have like LA crawfish connected
to
it, and LA crawfish got some good Vietnamese, Asian crawfish and stuff. But I mean, I can see how much money goes into that because people really hit LA crawfish on a regular basis.
Wait, it's not called Le Crawfish?
Le Crawfish.
I thought LA crawfish.
I say Le Crawfish because
Why is it Le Crawfish?
I like to be a little
because it just has LA with no.
I thought it was LA.
I thought it was Le Crawfish.
No, I swear it's LA crawfish.
Time out, flag on. Wait.
But Los Angeles, people don't call Los Angeles.
I've called it both.
Los
I've called it both. I was
Le
like,
Crawfish.
I was like crawfish for the longest, and everybody's like, no, it's LA crawfish.
Oh.
When I first saw it, when I first came to Houston, I saw it. I was like, oh, La Crawfish, or at least like Louisiana crawfish or something. But then they're like, no, it's LA crawfish. I was like, oh, okay. So
because there's no period in front of the L, I mean the A or after
Le
the A.
Crawfish. Call it what you
it's
want.
like Le Crawfish, like Le Fitness, like
Le Fitness.
oh, she gonna start calling it LA Fitness.
No one calls it Le Fitness. Everyone calls it LA Fitness.
I'm going to the Le Fitness.
I'm going to Le Fitness tonight.
Oh, okay, so I guess it's LA Crawfish, LA Fitness. Sorry, guys.
I'm calling it what I want.
But no, LA Fitness actually has a period, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah, it actually has L period, A period.
Well, then that's grammatically incorrect then.
For
What does the
the
L and the A
crawfish?
stand for?
La Crawfish.
What is the
But what does the
yeah.
L and the A stand for?
Right.
I don't know. That's
This
what
is
I
giving
know.
me mental anxiety.
Lewis and Anthony.
See?
Lewis and Anthony Crawfish. Problem solved.
Because that kind of threw me off too. Because even when I thought it was Louisiana crawfish, they're Vietnamese people that own.
But they got the
all
best
those.
crawfish.
But
Hey,
that
you
sounds
know
like some
something.
culture vulturing right there.
Yeah.
You know what?
I mean, yeah.
If you ever watch, if you have
Timmy
Netflix,
Chan.
watch Ugly Delicious. He has an episode on Houston, and on the Houston episode, the whole episode is about Vietnamese crawfish. And he talks about how Vietnamese people came up with crawfish in Houston and in New Orleans, between Houston and New
Did
Orleans.
they?
Whenever after the
I don't think so.
Vietnamese War, a lot of Vietnamese refugees came here, and the way because Vietnamese people have the same kind of what's that called? Like where the mud is in the water, like in the Gulf and stuff.
Okay.
They have areas like that in Vietnam where crawfish grow.
With the rice paddies. And
Yeah, with rice
With
paddies.
this-
They
okay.
grow crawfish in those. And so when they got to Louisiana and Texas and they saw, this marsh area grows crawfish, they started saying, oh, okay. And they saw that Louisiana people were already making crawfish. So they just kind of jumped on that bandwagon because they needed income too.
Right.
Because they had just moved from Vietnam in the 70s.
I just don't buy that. Like, I feel like crawfish comes from Tony Chachere's.
They just added their own little spin. That's why they put the seasoning on the outside. And
I don't
not the
even
water.
eat crawfish. So.
Oh, I don't like. You don't eat crawfish?
No.
What is wrong?
Nothing. I'm perfectly okay.
You know what? I didn't eat
For the
crawfish
record,
for
I'm
a long time.
allergic.
Yeah.
You just don't like it?
I
I'm
just
about
feel
to call
like
somebody.
I eat crab.
Who can we call?
The Lord.
I eat crab.
You eat
Exactly.
crab?
Yeah.
See, but I can't. I didn't eat crawfish for a long time because I didn't think it was worth peeling. Because I was like, it's a lot
It's
of work
worth
for a little bit
it.
of
You
meat.
gotta get with it.
Is it worth
Keep
it?
moving.
I don't like peeling crawfish.
Well, if you
I like fried
the
crawfish.
secret is
You gotta go
when
get it.
you peel the claws too, because there's some meat in there.
Yeah. Suck
Like,
it
there's a
up.
little meat in
Right.
there. That's a little meat
And
in
to
there.
tell you to take it,
Nah, right there.
suck it
But
up.
you know, I will say this: some people have the caucasity to call it crayfish.
I feel
I've
like
heard
crayfish
crayfish.
is a different thing though.
Crayfish?
I said caucasity to call it crayfish, so there's that.
I've heard crayfish on the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying.
Caucasity.
So-
Crayfish is a real thing, but I feel like, and I may be completely wrong, and it sucks that I'm wrong because I used to teach biology, but I feel like crayfish is a different type of animal.
I can solve this. Alexa, pull up crayfish.
Your Alexa work?
Alexa.
Cyrus.
All right, just
Cyrus.
never mind.
Cyrus.
Oh, you got a different
Never
phone.
mind.
I guess I
got
got
no
it.
iPhone.
Right.
She got
Cyrus.
Alexa, pull up Le Crawfish. Le Crayfish.
Le
How about that?
crayfish.
The crayfish.
Love fitness.
But yeah,
I
so
don't
back to the whole brunch thing. Okay, one of the other big things I noticed was I went to DC, right? DC has like a big brunch
They
scene.
do.
Yeah.
And I think it's crazy how because brunch has always been around.
Right.
It's been a real I can't palm type people thing 1st. You know what I'm saying? White people were about it first.
Right.
And then like it's like when black people took brunch, it took it to like a whole
Another level.
different
But
it
don't
took-
we do that all the time though?
That's what I'm
Don't
saying.
we do that all
take
the
some things
time?
and we make it better.
Better.
That's what I'm saying. We made it
Because it's the
better.
culture. It's the
It's the
culture.
culture.
We changed it.
We have flavor sometimes. We have seasoning.
Seasoning.
And with that, I mean, just look. If you go back to slavery, if you go back to
Don't make.
slavery,
I don't want to go back.
I feel like
things-
my brother's on the history lesson. Come on,
The
man.
the things that we had to do back
You've
then,
been in the house anyway.
you would have
What
been.
you
in
mean?
the
I'm like
house.
halfway in between. You probably have to on the porch.
I'm a house.
Like,
The things we had to do to to recognize ourselves as somewhat human, because they're giving us scraps, they're giving us the things that dogs eat. So we have to put our own seasoning, we have to put our own flavor, we have to put these things to it just to make it our own. And so that right there, because we were mind you, it probably happened before slavery. We already had flavor when we was in Africa and all this other stuff. When we came over here, we lost a lot of things. We didn't know what was happening over here, so we had to figure it out. We had to say, how do we season these leafy plants to make them really good? And now we're gonna eat the greens.
Get some of them rolls.
And then we putting all those scraps together, hence gumbo,
Yeah.
corn pone,
Yeah.
What?
all of those things.
Chicken pot pie, like seriously.
Chicken pie.
But-
You came up with that?
We came up with that, but somebody had the
Chicken
capacity to put it in something, do the edges like this, put a little hot cross buns on the top of it, and then pull it out and call it something else.
But I'm glad that we mentioned the whole mentality thing, and we're talking about mental health. A lot of people haven't realized, like, till 2019, some people still don't accept that a lot of the things that we go through, a lot of things we think about, a lot of things that's passed down, comes from slavery.
A lot of it. Most of it. Shit, most of it.
And I was having a conversation the other night, and it was 400 years in slavery, and then only a couple of hundred or 100 plus out of slavery. So if we're in it for that amount of time,
It's been.
it's that's not just one generation. That's
Right.
generations that have learned to whoop my child
Basically. Mama.
so that master doesn't whoop my child and kill my child.
Yep.
And so now this whooping, I'm gonna whoop you. Because I know when I got a whooping from my mom, she said, "I'm
Did you
whooping you
get
because I
beat?
love you."
What?
My mama never said, Mama, did you say you whooped me because you love me? You ain't never said
My
that.
mama told me she whooped me because she
Mama
loved me.
said that.
My mama didn't say that.
My mama.
But it had to have come from slavery.
Yeah.
Because you're as a slave child, you're talking to your mom. Why? What did I do wrong? I gotta whoop you, but I love you. And so now she's whooping your ass, and
that's love.
it's way less than what the master would have done for you or
Right.
done to you.
Because she getting you right, so you don't ever get to that point.
And she's also whooping you during slavery. She's whooping you because she loves you, like Greg is saying, and she wants to save you from.
The
Yeah.
real beat.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
that can happen.
Yeah.
The ultimate thing is,
Yeah.
if you're a child and you're getting beat by a slaver,
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
you may not take it.
Yeah, you may not make it.
so the mentality, like I said, the mentality it stems from a lot of the things that we were conditioned in during slavery. I mean, that goes from relationships, that goes from homophobia, that goes from communication, that goes from putting people up, giving people their props and things like that. It's all of that.
And that's part of it. Like that's why we have so many topics on this show, because like a lot of the stuff our people, it's just ingrained in us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had a show, we had like a trans woman on, and we talked to her about it. Like I had to admit for myself, there was a time in my life that would have never happened.
Yeah.
Like, and I had to admit that it takes a lot of unlearning all the stuff that we went through. Between like whooping the kids, like you said, homophobia, all that stuff. Like that stuff is ingrained.
Yeah.
Like it starts from like 5 years old.
And we pass that down to our children.
And we never really ask why. And then when we do ask why, we either get in
beat.
trouble or we get told because I said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as adults, we should be asking a lot of the questions. We should be asking a lot of whys right now. We should be asking our fellow peers why. Why are you doing this? Where's it going to get you? Why do I have to accept this?
Yeah.
So
I had a conversation like this because we were actually, when the Aisha Curry thing came up last week, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they actually hit me in a private message, so I respected that.
Yeah.
Like, they were going to hit me up and talk to me about it. because I had a bunch of like public conversations about it. But you know, they hit me up and they were like, you know, one of the things that the problem that they had with it was that they were putting, you know, private business out in public, and they were like, you know, Jeremy, you grew up like I grew up.
Yeah.
And so, like, the way we grew up, you don't take anything outside of a black household.
Right.
Nothing that happens in the house goes outside the house.
Right.
And I was like, you don't think that that's funny?
That's the problem.
Like, you don't think that this messed up that we've been told our whole lives that we can't explain nothing? Like, if anything goes bad in the house, we can't tell nobody.
What goes on in this house?
Stays in
And
the
that's
house.
and you know what? I
Stays in
think
the house, right?
going back to the unlearning again when we were kids, because again we all just said the same thing. What goes on in this house stays in the house, which means we've all heard that at some point. And like you're saying, that's to me that also makes me think of. Shoot, I was
Abuse.
Hold on.
Oh.
I'm trying to get my train of thought back. So it also makes me think about when we were kids. I would hear a lot of my family members say, "Oh, that's that white people stuff."
Yep.
That's that white people
that's
stuff.
therapy.
Mental health therapy, crying. That's that white people
Crying,
stuff.
couldn't cry.
You ain't doing that like these white kids do up in
Or
here.
growing our children up too fast. You're 4 years old. You're a 4-year-old little boy. You're a 5-year-old little boy. Stop
Get a
crying. Be
job.
a man.
Right.
And so those things. And so when we go back to what goes on in this house stays on in this house, what happens when molestation goes on in this house? What happens to rape goes on in this house?
Yep.
Like you supposed to keep
You gotta keep that quiet.
a broken house can't be fixed by the people that broke it.
They look good on the outside.
Somebody has to step in. Somebody from the outside, like you said, somebody from the outside has to come in and say, okay, this is wrong. What y'all doing is wrong. And if nobody ever knows,
We don't want nobody in our business.
Right.
Nobody's gonna know.
And then what happens is you become 22 years old,
Yep.
and then you're trying to sort through all of that. And you become 22 years old, speaking to myself, and then you have to start forgiving people.
Yep.
You become 22 years old, and you have to start unlearning these behaviors, but you have already started exhibiting some of these behaviors.
And you don't even know it because it's
Yeah.
it's like second nature. It's like you've already been doing the things that you said as a child that you wasn't gonna go through or you wasn't gonna do. But that's all you know.
That's true.
Yep.
And then so some of us look at like, you know, the molestation and when grown men prey on these little kids, like that's just the worst. And I'm not justifying anything like that, but we never question why they're doing that. We just say automatically he's sick in the head. I mean, to some of us, but that goes back to the mentality. We don't go to the mentality to get an understanding of why is this person touching this little boy? That's not right.
They just be like, Uncle Johnny can't watch the kids.
Exactly. And then that's all they do. That's all they do is say Uncle Johnny.
can't watch the kids.
But y'all never gonna take Uncle Johnny to jail or turn him in or anything like
Get
that.
him in some kind of help.
Yeah.
Put him in an
Because they'll do
institution or
that.
something.
But then when you unearth that, what you find is, going back to the generation, Uncle John touched Uncle Johnny.
Right.
Uncle Gary touched Uncle John.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always
Uncle
been
Mike
wrong.
touched Uncle
Yeah.
So it's all going on and on and on. And
It's unfortunate.
And I read something the other day that said that we are the hammer that breaks our generational curses.
Yep. And I think the reason that we are going to be good about breaking generational curses is because everything is so public now. Because now everything's coming out that like, oh, that went on in your house, and then like now somebody actually sees what was going on in your house. They're like, no, that was wrong.
Yeah.
You're like, it was. Like it surprises you because everybody in your
But
house
my
has been
people
telling
don't
you
want
that's
to talk
fine.
about that.
They don't.
You know what I'm saying? It goes down to this too. Like we had a show about this a couple weeks ago, and it's about we was talking like so much stuff went down. Like you know what I'm saying? Like Uncle Johnny touching such and such like that was because everybody's trying to protect their name, the family name.
Right.
Nobody wants the stigma of y'all have child molesters in y'all family or this and that, whatever. And now it's coming to the point where people are like fuck the name, whatever.
Yeah.
What about myself?
Yeah.
And people are like stepping on themselves.
I was saying this last night, that the whole Aisha Curry thing of her speaking what she had to say. Just imagine how many other women agreed
Thank you.
about her. What
At
she
my
said.
job, it was women saying, I understand where she's coming from, but I
She
never
was-
tell my
she was
husband.
just
I'm
the
like,
bold
bitch,
one.
you getting beat?
And it's
like, why you wrote that?
yeah. And it's a lot of us that are not the bold ones and don't have the courage to get out there and say, you know what, and some of us, we can talk about it, and then sometimes we're still not ready to open up and say, this happened to me. Because we are afraid of what people will think about us.
But can you imagine, and I feel like it's our responsibility now that the narratives are being open, it's our responsibility to have those narratives to help to propel these different new narratives, because I can only imagine if in the 80s and the 90s when we were growing up, if this was the narrative, if these safe spaces were, we would have all probably been in relationships with other people that were a lot more sane.
Yeah.
And so it's our narrative, it's our job to make sure that the new generation coming up is able to have these kind of narratives.
No more sweeping it underneath.
No more sleeping under the rug.
Yeah, because and like you said, it comes up even in our relationships, because like when you have a relationship with someone, you know, like a lot of people's parents, if they stayed together, it was like they stayed together through a lot of bullshit. Like there was a lot of shit going on that they didn't want anybody to know about.
Marriage is embarrassing.
Yeah,
Because they cared about what other people said.
Yeah, they cared
We
about
don't
what
care
other
no
people
more?
think.
Not
I don't
that
think so.
I don't think that we don't. I don't think that
do.
is that we don't care. I think it's more important for us to get it out, because
Yeah. Okay.
to take care of your mental health, to keep that all bottled up, you have to at some point you have to express and you have to let go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You be like, "Whoo, that's weight off my shoulders." Now, a whole nother aspect of it is dealing with the backlash that's gonna come with it. But you have to be willing to accept it. I mean, I think it's when it comes to change, it's a part of life. I mean, we have to go through these things. And sometimes you may not have all the answers. Some of us don't like to admit that you ain't got all the answers, Sway. You ain't got all the answers.
And it's really hard. I know for me, myself, I know I'm one of the people that's real hard for me to admit when I don't really know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I really don't know, because I usually do. Like I usually know, you know, I have a way to get around things, but like when it comes to something I really don't know, I hate even speaking about it, because it's like I don't want to have that conversation.
I agree.
Yeah.
But what happens though, I find this at what I've done, I have inserted myself in conversations and I know nothing about it, and so I'm just like, well, what do you think about? And I'll quickly be corrected. I'm like, okay, let me step back and just because I feel like if I don't get in that conversation that I don't know nothing about, I won't learn anything.
Yeah, and I like to just listen to those.
But can you think about all the times, right, where you didn't know something but you pretended to know something?
Of course,
And then
all the
but you
time.
ended up in a situation. I would never forget this. I had a job one summer, and they were like, "Oh, Jamar, we got a mass marketing something or another." They called, and I was like, "Oh yeah, mass marketing. Psh, I can do that," because I was afraid to be like, "What is that?"
Right.
I ended up on 290. Barker Cypress in the neighborhood by myself in the middle of the daytime, 103-degree weather with these books, and I was like, what's mass marketing? Come to find out, mass marketing was going door to door advertising the product, but I thought mass marketing was like something else. But I didn't ask for help. I didn't ask for instruction. I didn't say that. I didn't ask for enlightenment.
Yeah.
And then the sun lit my ass up.
Yeah, literally.
You literally got like
For mass marketing.
Yeah.
Marketing.
But I mean, and the thing is, you're gonna learn one way or the other. You're gonna learn the easy way
Either or the hard way,
You're gonna learn the hard
unfortunately.
And so I tell, like, me working at a university, I tell students all the time, it's like, you guys have to ask the questions. You guys are in situations that y'all have never been in, so why not ask the people that know? But when we get older, we are all know-it-alls. We all think that we know it all until someone comes up and says, that's absolutely wrong. You're wrong, and here's why you're wrong. I can prove it.
Oh, well, question. I
What?
asked a question today at work. I still ain't get the answer. So, what?
Well, okay, so here's the thing. As a former teacher, I'd always ask 3 then me. So did you ask 3 other people, even though you asked the person
She
above
pissed
you?
me off.
And so you just stopped.
So you stopped?
So you gave
So you
up on
stopped
your
your
hopes and
pursuit?
dreams.
I went back to my Netflix.
But you stopped your pursuit
Netflix
of your
at
question.
your
So
job.
tomorrow you're going to go back and that
Uh-huh.
question is still going to be unanswered.
No, it ain't. I ain't doing it. They
You just
figure
ain't
it
gonna-
out. No,
you just ain't gonna
I'm
do whatever
new.
you're supposed to do?
Right, I'm new here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so
You fucked up, bitch. Not me.
so ignorance is
Bliss?
or
Well, friend.
I mean, for now, ignorance is
Friend.
bliss.
That's not my
we
job.
can't accept that. We cannot accept that.
No,
Is that what you want?
you guys
Somebody-
figure it out sometime.
Hopefully tomorrow will be a new
So
day.
how about this?
Hopefully tomorrow
Why
I'll
don't you
be
ask
able
us
to
the questions? Let's see if we can be your village and answer. What's the question?
I forgot what I was asking her.
Friend.
I forgot.
It
It
was
ain't
on-
worth it.
It was
Per my
on-
last email, I need you to re-ask that question.
Ever.
Per my last
Per
email.
my. Whoa.
But look, on the
Per my
but on the
email.
flip side, we are in 2019. Someone was saying there's no reason that you shouldn't know. There's no reason. Like it's
I don't
something.
know.
It's because you didn't go research it yourself.
You're
Where's your
right.
research? Did you look on
You can Google.
No.
You can Google anything.
I've been Googling.
Watch this. Alexa, answer Ashley's question.
What is it? What is Ashley answer?
I forgot. I'll ask y'all later.
No.
It's
I
some
should know.
shit with some wheelchairs, y'all. I don't know.
But yeah, wheelchairs.
Ah,
But
They
I
got all
do
different kinds out there. I'm like, goddamn. Damn.
I do think when you are able to offer accurate information to others, and they use you as a resource, that itself makes you feel good about yourself.
It does.
She's sorry.
It does.
It really does. And
I can tell you who it was.
Ashley.
Do y'all work together?
Friend.
No.
Oh, you do. You assemble wheelchair.
No, I don't assemble.
tires.
What? No. Wait a minute.
She explained this vividly. Ashley puts the spinners on the wheelchair.
No, she puts the silver caps on the wheelchair. No, she puts the little rubber tips.
Oh,
The rubber tips on the brakes.
I didn't see some bad wheelchairs, y'all. I can't afford them, but it costs as much as cars.
Really?
Yeah.
Where are you going in that? If ever,
That's their life. They can't
God
walk, y'all.
forbid, if anything ever happened to me, I want y'all to give me the one where that thing stand up like that.
You know, it's like 64,000.
I don't care.
Or the one that stands up and lets you walk like that.
I want to.
They
I'm
call
gonna
it
be
the
RoboCop.
Bentley.
I'm gonna be
They
RoboCop.
call it the Bentley.
I'm gonna be in the
I don't
Bentley.
play like I'm gonna get in it. I'll play like
Does insurance normally pay for that?
that.
Yeah,
No.
I was gonna say insurance ain't gonna pay that much.
Not that much.
What about you know what? Kelsey Care is really good insurance.
No,
If
it's
you're-
not.
if-
No, it's not.
Oh.
She's working.
She's the worst.
Okay, well, if you are watching us and you are a representative of Kelsey Care, remember I didn't say that. I've always been happy with the copay. And if anything ever happened to me, I need Kelsey Care to sponsor me one of them stand-up things. So, I don't know what she's talking about because I want a RoboCop.
Now, my supervisor was a jerk, but what's up?
What's up, Kelsey?
I don't think I can go back, but whatever.
I'm gonna go one more thing before we get out of that topic. So one of the things that comes up, even with just kind of dealing with mental health and going back to the whole brunch conversation, because it's a big event. It's a lot of people. A lot of people end up going to it. Have y'all ever heard of like social anxiety?
Oh,
Like people that aren't able to, mingle and
without a drink.
do things like that. How do y'all? Do you feel like you have a way to accommodate for that?
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I dealt with social anxiety for a very long time.
Really? But
Yes.
you be all over the place.
Right, and that's what people think, right? People are like, oh, you're so social, or
You
have
are.
a
You
lot
all
of
over the
friends.
place. Like, hey.
But you deal with the anxiety because it's something that's inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Are these people thinking this about me? Are they saying this about me? Or when they look at me, or what are they thinking? And then I remember in college, I suffered from really bad panic attacks, and I didn't even start talking about that until like a year ago. But my social anxiety was like such that on like a 20 that I had to one semester lie to my teacher and make up a lie so that she would excuse me from the class. And I just presented my presentations only to her in her office because my social anxiety was that on the 20. But
you was gonna pass out?
I would get really, really hot and I would be very anxious and I couldn't think. And it was just because I don't know. But
I used to start shaking.
I was like that, like doing presentations and stuff like that. If I had just like, oh yeah, you come ahead and come up and present, I'll be like, I'll kind of freeze up a little bit. But if I had to be kind of like in a situation where it was like no choice, then I'd be like, fuck it. And I would go up there and I would present with no issue. But if I had like time to think about it and sit back, whatever, my anxiety would flare up.
And so to address your question, how do we deal with the social anxiety? I don't know.
I was going to give y'all a reason, but I'm going to let y'all answer first because I think that y'all do well. But
what I also think too is I think to circumvent the social anxiety, we try to make it our brunch home as welcoming as possible.
Right. That's
because I think what comes with the social anxiety is the $200, $300 bottles, the $400 sections, the dress code, the paying, even things like
unfamiliar people, the unfamiliar setting.
And we're very big on. We have one venue that tried it with us, but we are very big on. We don't like the pat downs at the door. We don't need our guests to feel like when they come in, because I hate having somebody like, I don't mind people groping me, but I don't like getting groped at the door.
I mind people groping me.
I mean appropriate people, approved people.
Yeah.
Don't tell people y'all don't pat down nobody.
Well, I mean, but we don't have the need to because we put out there what we want to get back, and so we are really big on that. And so because I have a couple of people in my family that if coming to an event getting patted down, they're like, my nigga, what y'all doing? Like, nah, it ain't even that kind of party. What y'all doing?
I never got pat down till I went to Atlanta.
But you said, but how did that make you feel?
Violated.
Right, and then have you been back to that place?
Yeah.
Why?
Went back.
Friend, you debunking what we said.
Right.
But
I wanted to go out.
But to answer your question, we do try to make sure that those things are beforehand in place. Even things like, because imagine we as men, right? You want to holler at a girl. You may be trying to make it till Friday to their payday. You got about $35 in your pocket. The chicken, no, the lobster and the waffle is $18. You want to get a drink for yourself, and you see this bad girl from Prairie View. You remember her from back on the yard after she crossed. You trying to holler. You want to get her a drink. And you don't want to look weak in front of her line sisters, so you're going to get her a drink, right?
Yeah.
Right.
But we try to make sure that our price points on our menu for the food and our price point on the menu for the drinks doesn't make people feel insecure. We got something on there for the ballers, and we got something on there for the flat ballers. So, because that financial insecurity is a thing too.
Yeah, I would say that, and that'll cause a lot of anxiety
That
too, thinking that you don't have enough money to spend out there.
Right.
See, I've learned, like, I think I have always been a social person. The first time that I realized that I wasn't social probably was in the 5th grade when I got embarrassed. And I got embarrassed because I wasn't talking, and I was the kid with the big lips, and I was black, and I had a wingworm on my head. And I got made fun
You
of.
gonna play with cats?
No. It's between.
I got one.
Is that the only way to get women?
I look at it from dirt.
Yeah,
Oh.
like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in dirt.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
So,
wasn't. I had one on
I
my
mean,
back.
my brothers would come in and we would always be playing, and so we using the same brush, you know. So I had wingworm on the back of my neck, you know. So I had that, and I got made fun of, and from there I was like, I told myself, like, I was no longer wanting to be the person that people was gonna make fun of, the person. So I would always be able to do that, be around people, want to be around me. So from that day forward, I just started like really getting involved with people, what they have to say, to figure out, you know, can I be funny with this situation? And I'm not a comedian or anything, but I think I'm a person that people want to be around. And I think that's the only way I feel like I can make other people comfortable, is if they are comfortable being around me. If they're comfortable being around me, I can make them comfortable being around other people. And I think that's what me and Jamar offer at Brunches, is the ability to be accessible. Like, you can come up there, and because most places you go to the DJ, or you can't really go up there and like, hold on, who are you? And I'm not saying all DJs are like that.
They told me, get your ass down.
And I'm not saying all DJs are like that, because for the most part, a lot of the Houston DJs are pretty dope when,
they're real
you know, you're very personal. So you could go up there and holler at them, and then no issue. But you go to some places that some people think they're too big for the people that they're serving, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So I was gonna say, and that was gonna be my thing. I was gonna let y'all answer, but as far as social anxiety go, I think that y'all do a very good job of it, and I think our people in general, like, and I learned this from like my mama, who's not in counseling or therapy or anything like that. Like, she's not a therapist at all, but I learned the way that she handles people, and it's a big thing for like black people in
Somebody
general.
howling.
And
We gotta go, Dante.
Dante.
All right, so like a big thing for us in general is that, you know, we have a good way of dealing with people, and so like y'all aren't overbearing in at brunches. So like if somebody is not feeling comfortable, it's a real family atmosphere. It's like, you know, and it's like if you brought somebody to your family reunion, you bring somebody to your family reunion, they're not gonna feel comfortable at first because they don't know nobody there. Everybody else know each other. But I know like my family, when I bring somebody there, they're gonna try to make them feel welcome.
Right.
But they're not gonna overdo it. They're like, hey, you know, you wanna come play spades, you can come play spades.
you want a drink? We got a drink.
Yeah, we got some drinks for you if you need to drink.
Help yourself, because I'm not fixing your plate.
And you know what? At Brunchish, hold on, friend, I'll take you.
I
Go.
was waiting for the drink.
But at Brunchish too, there've been a lot of the places that I've been to and that we've been to, kind of what Greg is saying, like, there are, as the MC or as a DJ, we take time in our events, and Greg will spend something for a little bit, and we actually go into the audience and we touch people.
Yeah.
And we talk to people, and we give them our business
Touch
cards.
people good way.
Oh, touch people in a good way.
So we're not molested.
We touch people correctly.
No
With
sexual assault
consent.
over
With consent.
Can I touch you? Yes.
Yeah,
Touch away.
and we have a goal, like a quota, like we need to meet this many people,
Right.
talk to this many people
that's
beforehand.
good.
And you know, we even do things like, how do you like your food?
Yeah.
Did you not like it? How can we fix it? What can we do for next time? We have customer service satisfaction surveys. So we really try to eliminate any kind of upsetness or anxiety, because some people could be. I remember, I never forget this. We had a brunches where a girl kind of went off on me because she didn't like something. But it was that she waited too long for her. Well, the food came out late, but she was like, I ain't getting back to next week. I'm gonna teach her. But the root of the cause was this was like her last of her last. Yeah. And she didn't even want to go out with her friend. Right. But it was her friend line sister birthday. But she came out and this was like her last couple of dollars, and she was like, this is my meal for the day. Yeah. Like, what's up?
You need security.
But we were able to remedy that though, because we addressed
all the food.
No, we fixed her. We went back and we refixed the same item, and she really liked it the second time. Now I hate that Coldplay though.
We would rather people say, you know what? I enjoyed myself. They give us all the compliments, and then they tell us, they pinpoint their one thing that they didn't like.
Okay, let me tell you what I didn't like.
What you didn't like? Tell us.
Okay, first time I came. No, this ain't for y'all. This for y'all.
Oh.
Y'all left me there drunk. Whatever.
Oh, you came to brunches at Lily and Bloom? Yeah. Was you on the video?
No.
Oh, was you my friends? Your friends better.
You weren't in that video with I was dancing, man?
I think that was you.
That was you.
That
was not me.
It was you at 24 seconds.
You famous.
In the video. But you know what? If you come to Brunchish again drunk in 2019,
I'm trying to work on that.
But we have a developing relationship with Uber, so Uber is going to start sponsoring some of our car rides.
Did I Uber last? No.
No, you tried to drive.
That was the other one? Oh no, that was the same part.
I didn't. Oh yeah.
Yeah. No.
No, it was what happened.
I just
don't like it.
We're gonna pray for you.
No, it's okay, friend. Cause we got an Uber contract. You good? We got you.
Okay, y'all got discounts.
We do. Put
in your Uber code.
Brunchish TX.
But I'm not getting messed up. Like I know how to control myself. I'm getting better.
Yeah, I'm glad you learned how to control yourself.
And you can spend that money you were gonna spend on liquor. You can spend on that brunch though.
Boom.
Get a couple things.
Yeah, get food. Get more food. Actually, that way you don't be so drunk.
I ate that day.
Oh,
you did.
I said, I was gonna have the brisket taco.
I hope you eat every day.
Yeah. We hope so, friend.
I give up a pass for that. When that first time we went to brunches,
y'all were doing the most.
We had like 8 crabs.
And we appreciate that because when we ran back the tab, we appreciate that.
Oh, there ain't no more. I was done. Ain't no more.
But yeah, so before we close out, like our last segment is usually called like the woosah segment. It's more of like a calming of everything in case the episode got like real hectic or whatever. Like we had some deep conversation or whatever. I kind of like to end on a positive note and kind of talking about the things that will help you with your day from here on out. So for the woosah, I just kind of want to basically, I want to say that I think people, because we talked about social anxiety, I want people to kind of make the effort to be social. Make the effort to go out to things like brunches. You know what I'm saying? Make the effort to get out, and you don't have to go to like big events. And that's what, like I said, that's what's so great about brunches is it's more of a family atmosphere. All right, so like since we have that family atmosphere, I want people to be able to kind of move in that direction and kind of go to different events. And the other thing is I know that I've made connections with people just through PV and through brunches, like that have smaller events. Like I know like WJ Knott's had an event last night. Like people are having events everywhere that are small networking events. If you're dealing with a social anxiety problem, or if it's a problem of not being able to go out in public like that, the best thing for you to do is to start small. Start small at like that good networking event, pop-up shops. You know what I'm saying? Then work your way up to something like brunches. That way you're not in an area where, like we said before, where it's like bottles everywhere and crowds, and you shoulder to shoulder, you trying to maneuver your way to the bar, and gotta wait 30 minutes for a drink at the bar.
I don't know what she did with my board. Still looking for my hot wings, grooves.
Oh,
damn! I forgot about y'all. I'm done. I'm done.
But you don't get there.
Bruce is done with you.
That's why I just take Ashley to brunches every time we go. So
there you go, and we appreciate that.
And just come and buy me a drink.
Everybody coming by.
I want a carafe though.
You want a whole carafe? Yeah, you can't buy Ashley one drink. You gotta buy a whole carafe.
I'm gonna be there for a while.
So before we get out of here, I want to just kind of give y'all a chance to get a rundown of the event, your upcoming events coming up, anything else y'all got going on, connections.
Follow us at Brunchish Texas.
Yeah.
BrunchishTx.
Yes. I was listening to the letters BrunchishTx. That's hard to spell out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Follow us at Brunchish Texas. We have our next event coming up Memorial Day weekend.
Wow.
What we usually do, we want to keep our crowd kind of anticipated. So we're going to be announcing our new venue in a couple of business days.
Oh.
And if you really, really want to be in the know, please follow us and we will go ahead and add you to our mailing list. And what else do we have coming up? We really just want to network with people. We want to make sure that we are,
let us know about your events.
yes.
We would love to come and support. We are avid supporters. Like, I like to go out and support people's stuff because I feel like the only way you're going to get, and it's not just because I want to support, but it's because I seen a post and it was like, it takes nothing. It's free. If a person's event is free, it takes nothing for you to support. Take a picture, tag, like their picture, like their page, follow their page,
Repost.
repost. Someone asked me to buy their app last night. I was like, I normally buy apps that are 99 cents, but his app was $1.99. But this is a black man that owns an app, and I was like,
What type of app was it?
it's like a basketball app. I haven't even looked at it yet, but I felt the need to support that.
Yeah.
It was $1.99. Yeah, $1.99.
And I think too, like, I remember the very first brunches that we had, and I remember we having a phone call like, it's gonna rain, like maybe we should cancel it.
Yeah.
Like let's just cancel it. And has rained at every brunches that we've had since, except for maybe the last two.
Yeah.
So rain is always like our thing. But I just going back to about the
Still come
support,
out.
right?
I came in
Yeah.
the rain.
Because
I was
that,
like, get that umbrella out on my bro.
that though is what that's one weird, because we're always like, I know I'm always like pacing back and forth the day of the event,
Yes.
and I'm always so nervous. And so when you have other people that support you,
They're gonna come.
that's the thing. Like when we have the event and we look, there's always a time in the event about,
Yeah.
and that's what makes you feel good. So we want to support other black businesses or other businesses, period, because those, like you were saying earlier about connections, those are the connections. There's so many people that have come to us and been like, oh, I love coming to your event, come to our podcast or come to our radio show. And we, in February, we took a whole month and we did nothing but digital promotion. We were on podcasts, radio shows, but it's from people who came to our brunch.
So even if you don't come to brunches, which we really hope that you will, go support someone else.
Please.
Go on Instagram, look at different things, hashtags and stuff, and support someone else that you wouldn't normally support, and see how much joy that you get out of it.
Yeah.
And bring your business cards to the next brunches,
Yes.
because we love to have that corporate networking.
Oh yeah. So make sure y'all, and we'll have all of this information in the description underneath the podcast. And so if you're listening, if you're on Spotify, if you're on SoundCloud, if you're on
YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher,
Google Play, Apple Podcasts.
Wait, was this on Spotify?
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Shut up.
Listen, I wrote a song for Spotify a long time ago that never got Spotify. If you're listening, this is my shot. I'm shooting it right now.
Go.
Spotify. I wrote that song a long time ago, okay? And I have been
That's
waiting
it?
for my moment to pitch it to Spotify. That is a jingle right there. Spotify. Did you hear that?
If you need me in the back.
You
You can't harmonize.
Fred,
Right over there.
if you could do like a Spotify. No, you gotta go.
You went up with it.
Listen, Spotify, if you listening, I need that. Please.
So
Shout out to What's the Remedy for sure, man.
Please.
No
What
problem.
kind of food y'all
shout out to
having? Y'all ain't gonna tell me.
Do you want us to run you down a temporary
No.
potential menu?
I actually like to know about the food.
Well, we always have our signature chicken and waffles all the time. And we try to make sure that, because Greg is pescatarian and I'm vegan-ish.
And I'm chickenish.
Right.
That's not bad. I like that.
I'm vegan-ish.
Because I don't miss, I need some food.
But we definitely try to make sure that we service our clients who are vegan or pescatarian as well. We always have some type of seafood on the menu. We definitely try to have our chicken waffles our staple. Our customers are like, we've not had it one time and they were pissed.
Yeah, they were bad.
What time y'all ain't have it?
I
But that
was
means,
gonna say that was
because
the
you
time
know,
we talked
yeah, I was
Rankin?
pissed.
Yeah,
I didn't eat
Yeah,
it.
she was one of the
That's
customers that was
what,
upset.
and
'Cause
there
when
we
I
go.
got there, that's what
I
she said to
said,
me.
say, ain't no chicken and waffles on this menu.
And we we were advantageous. We tried it, and we didn't walk on water with that one.
Yeah.
But we definitely will always have our chicken and waffle. We will always have our vegan options, and so we're right now in the process of developing our
You
newest
know,
menu.
black people love chicken.
Black
you can't
people
do
love
that.
chicken and waffle. They love
It's
chicken
not
and
stereotype
Heartbroken
our
right
culture.
Yeah.
because whites, Caucasians,
They like fried
Caucasians.
chicken too.
Yeah, I was saying they like fried
We
chicken.
like anything that clogs our arteries. You know what I'm saying?
I don't.
Y'all don't.
I like
It's a
lettuce.
new generation.
But we like.
All right, so we're gonna get on out of here. That one, Ashley. We appreciate y'all boys
Thank
for
you
coming
so
out.
much.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
we love the event every time since
Best
the beginning.
best of luck to you all's future endeavors.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll be definitely there to support everything that y'all got going on. And anybody connected, like I said before, I try to make connections. In fact, I sent a message to Nate yesterday because I missed the WJ Nice event yesterday.
It was
So I
nice.
was
It
like,
was cool.
yeah, no, I saw everything from it. I was like, damn, I missed it.
Right.
And
right.
you should have him meet you at Brunchish and
Yeah.
buy you a waffle or something.
Yeah,
Just a
And a
plug.
crab.
Yeah, and a
And
crab.
crab.
yeah, correct.
And also, just really quick, I just want to say this before we
Go
go. Spotify.
Actually, you're off. All right, man, we get out of here. Go ahead.
I
Boss.
said, well, as always, we hope you laughed a little, learned a lot. We hope we helped you find the remedy whatever's troubling you. This is What's Wrong Podcast.
Spotify.
And we out.